Hey guys, welcome back to this week's poll here on Comic Relief Cast. I am your host Jake.
And I'm Josh, and this is
What Are We Reading? For the second time today, Josh. This is not What Are We Reading.
Learn to
this
deal
week's
with the
poll.
times. This is going to be What Are We Reading?
Just go with it. Okay, guys, you obviously know you're clicking on the Marvel title for this week. There's quite a few Marvel titles coming out. Marvel is really dominating the comic book scene. They're putting out a lot more things than pretty much every other distributor right now. So a lot more to go over, but let's get right into it with War of the Realms, Uncanny X-Men #1 with Matt Rosenberg and Pepe Perez. And I'm going to say, I am not really keeping up with the X-Men, so there's a few characters in here I honestly don't really know who they are. I was reading some of the Uncanny X-Men, but they're just characters that are just so forgettable to me. I don't know who they are, but my biggest problem with this book is I didn't know who was narrating the whole thing. And that really made my reading experience made me go, who's talking right now? So, you know, it's kind of confusing.
Yeah, it was okay. I've been keeping up with Uncanny. I'm a couple issues behind. I am really liking the Uncanny storyline, but this was it wasn't bad. It was just kind of a mediocre comic.
Exactly. It wasn't bad. But here's my thing. It doesn't feel like an essential read for War of the Realms.
Oh,
I think that's what
not.
People would want to know, is this essential? If I'm reading War of the Realms, should I pick this up? It's going to be a 3-issue commitment. Is this a good companion piece to that? My opinion, no. Yeah, they get into it. Like the first few pages are just completely needless, in my opinion. I think if you had done away with those and just focused straight on them going to the War of the Realms, like into the city, fighting the stuff from the War of the Realms.
The first 3 pages only make sense if you've been reading Uncanny.
Okay, well for me,
because it kind of makes it well organized from transferring from Uncanny to War of the Realms Uncanny.
Okay,
well, it makes sense then.
All right, well, you know, so
it just makes it so it's not abrupt.
I got
change.
it. It's a segue. It's fine. It's not an essential reading for War of the Realms, in my opinion. They get in on a little bit of the action, but they're not really interacting with many other characters from the rest of the Marvel Universe. Feels pretty self-contained at this point. I'm going to go ahead and give this book 2.2 Vision sex tapes.
I'm at 2.3 Vision sex tapes.
Okay, so you're not much further ahead.
No, that's accurate grading right there.
All right, moving on to Doctor Strange #13 by Mark Waid and Barry Kitson. The reason I was checking this out is because I wanted to see what was going on with Galactus and Doctor Strange. And the first issue I thought was really intriguing. This one kind of devolves into just more of your typical sorcery stuff and like how do we keep Galactus at bay, which is fine. I liked in the last issue they put a little bit more science, that like Galactus is this being of science and law of order in a world that exists in order and chaos, and him being thrown into a universe that exists primarily with magic kind of throws everything out of whack. I liked that idea. They didn't really expand much upon it on this issue, but it was fine. Plus it's a killer cover, man. Strange like he's gonna put on Galactus' helmet's pretty badass looking, but I'm going to give this one 2.6 Vision sex tapes.
I read Superior Spider-Man #5 by Christoph Gage and Mike Hawthorne. I'm actually really digging this run for the most part. But this one kind of follows with Dr. Octavius trying to make his life in San Francisco seem less suspicious. It's actually a pretty solid issue. Not my favorite issue of this run so far, but definitely a solid issue. I'm going to give it 2.65 Viz sex tapes.
All right, moving on to Hulkverines, Part 3 of 3, written by Greg Pak. The artist is Ario Anindito. And if you guys have been checking the first 2 issues out of this book, it's pretty fun. I mean, that's all it really is. It's a fun little read. It's kind of, it's... What it is every comic book reader's like, what if, dude? What if this? What if Hulk and Wolverine were combined into one being? Now you got that, plus they're fighting the original Wolverine, original Hulk. But this book lets you know it's not a very serious book. You don't need to take this very seriously. It's not in main continuity with the rest of the Marvel Universe. It's just for fun. It's got some cool moments. But I will say this one was a little less action-packed than I would have expected. And the way it ended had me chuckling, but I was like, that is so stupid.
Well, I think the book is meant for being fun, and I don't know if it's not continuity. I mean, they definitely reference certain things that's been going on. It doesn't
seem to be because,
throughout the series.
Well, Wolverine's here, and in the main continuity, Wolverine is definitely not here.
Do that all the time. But they've referenced certain things that's happened in other issues in the earlier issues. But it's just supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be taken serious at all. You can always tell by the title because they always have this like little things. Like this one says, "Hulkverines, no pants are safe." It's not supposed to be fun, and it ends.
It is supposed to be fun.
It's not supposed to be taken serious, and it ends on such a goofy note. If you're looking in for a very serious book, you're going to be very disappointed with this. But if you want to have a fun time, this is a good fun book.
Absolutely, and for what it is, okay. Remember, grading is not the same for every book. For what this book is, I'm going to give this one a 3.0 Vision sex tapes.
I give this one a 3.2 Vision sex tapes.
But what are all 3 issues?
All 3 issues, I was about to say. All 3 issues, mostly because of how surprised I was with it. I would give it, I'm still sitting right there, I'd give it a 3.2.
Okay, because I liked the first 2 issues a little bit more, I'd give Hulkverines totally 3.3 as a whole. It's a good little fun read.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to Fantastic Four, issue 9 by Dan Slott and Aaron Cooter and Stefano Caselli. If you guys have been reading Fantastic Four, you know it's just a good, kind-hearted family book. The last issue I was really digging because, I mean, Doctor Doom is one of my guys. He's my favorite villain. And so I thought the last issue, Doctor Doom, was a total badass. I will say in this issue, I think Slott really makes an attempt to focus on the 4 main characters a little bit more, make them a little bit more badass. Actually bring out some surprising new abilities for their powers. Things that go, okay, that makes sense. But Doom gets totally undermined in this. Like he's made out to look like a little.
I'm sorry, but he was made to look like a fool at the end of the last issue.
At the very end, yeah. But I thought, okay, this is gonna be good because this is fuel for the fire for Doom to just go nuts on these characters. He ended up getting shafted in this book.
Hey, he's a bad guy, so he's supposed to get shafted.
Dan Slott has no love for Doctor Doom. I have deduced this from reading these couple issues.
He's a villain.
It's one of the best.
But I reading this, I really enjoyed the beginning, and then towards the end, I felt really bad because I kind of was like, I'm tired of reading this Galactus Doctor Doom thing.
Yeah, well...
And it's sad because I was so excited for it.
I think it's definitively over now, and we're going to get back to some more just kind of good-hearted family stuff. But this issue so far for you, what would you give it?
This issue, I did enjoy some of the pencil work. I did really enjoy the beginning of it. It's just very family fun. I'm going to give this one just a 2.75 Vision sex tapes.
Okay, I'm a little bit higher. I'm at 2.9 Vision sex tapes, but that's because I'm a fan of the Fantastic Four and Doctor Doom is. Well, you know what? Now I'm going to go back to 2.75. Doom got done dirty in this book. So, all right, moving on to Wolverine: The Long Night, issue 4 by by Benjamin Percy and who's the artist?
Takara.
Oh, okay, yeah, Marcio Takara.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
And this one it's a 5-issue thing. It's been based off a podcast. If you guys been listening, you know. And it's been a lot more of a murder mystery type thing. You know, like a whodunit and how is Logan kind of wrapped up in this. This one you definitely get some more answers, but I didn't feel the intrigue from this issue as I did the first 3.
I'm glad you said that. I felt the same way. I've been really digging this book, and I still like this issue. I'm still happy to be picking it up, but this one just did not have the same pack as the other one. I think it's just mostly because they're trying to fit a lot more in right before the end because it is only one more issue, and this one is very wordy.
Yeah, it is.
But at the same time, I'm not feeling the same punch that I was with the last.
Right, and
issues.
I think it's because the mystery is starting to unravel, and it's not. I don't know. So far, it's not the most satisfying unravel, but there's still a lot more to be revealed.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
So I'm excited to see what else they've got coming. Cause, again, guys, we have not listened to the podcast. If you already know what's coming, please don't tell us.
Yeah.
I'm just looking forward to reading it, but. My least favorite issue of the 4 so far, but it does not make it by any means a bad issue. Mm-hmm. Still giving this one 3.1 Vision sex tapes.
I'm at 3 Vision sex tapes.
All right, I'm going to be moving on to Black Widow issue 4, written by Jen and Sylvia Soska, and the artist is Flaviano. And guys, this is a sleeper hit series. I know I didn't really talk much about it before, but I've been kind of tooting the horn of this book ever since I got caught up with it. And this is a killer series. This is no holds barred, unadulterated, bloody, gory, violent. It's awesome. And it is tackling like somewhat real world issues, but this is a book that really showcases Natasha for the character who she really is, who she should be in the movies. She's pretty damn ruthless, but she's also got a little bit of a heart of gold, and I like that. But it's also gory. I mean. I'm going to tell you guys, she straight up cuts a dude's arms off. Just right at the bicep, just cuts him right off, and you see it, and it's awesome. Black Widow as a whole has been pretty damn stellar so far. Issue 4 is no different. I'm going to give this one 3.85 Vision sex tapes.
Now, I read Venom 13. It's a War of the Realms tie-in. It's actually written by Colin Bunn. As you know here, we're not huge fans of Colin Bunn. I am more a fan of Colin Bunn, but only on like indie horror titles that don't relate to caves and cows. This, you definitely feel the absence of Donny Cates. You're missing that testosterone overdrive, kind of like feel that you've been getting throughout the whole thing. And also these like weird concepts that Donny Cates can only write down on pen and paper that make sense once you read it, but when you say it out loud, it sounds like
ridiculous.
Yeah, it sounds really ridiculous. And this, it kind of feels like a Colin Bunn, filling in, doing the last bit, kind of like what he normally does at Marvel.
He's a chameleon writer.
Yeah,
he's who you bring in, and
he's who you bring in when the other writer has something else they need to do.
Right, he's a status quo writer.
Yeah, and this one actually does. I will say this: this is probably one of his better than some of the other titles that he's done that with Marvel. But at the same time, there's like this one thing that happens in there that really bugs me. But with that one thing, you also get a new symbiote suit for Venom that looks pretty cool. But for the most part, I'm going to have to give this book a 2.8 Vision sex tapes.
All right, moving on to The Amazing Spider-Man, issue number 20 by Nick Spencer and Humberto Ramos. And I have been really enjoying Hunted, and this issue is no different. I think this is actually one of the higher points of the Hunted event so far. We really liked that. What was it, 17-point issue?
18-point issue.
Okay, that had to do with the Gibbon. That was a really good issue. A lot of the main issues of Hunted have been great, but this one it's starting to tell us a lot more. There's a lot more going on. There's a lot of heart and a lot of humanity behind this. It's not just showcasing Spider-Man. You're also getting a look into Kraven, Black Ant, Lizard, Black Cat. Like, all these characters are really getting moments to shine, and it's propelling the story forward too, all while doing that and really paying respects to all the characters. I don't want to tell you guys what's going on in this issue, but it does kind of turn the tables a little bit, and I really dig the way that's happening. And it puts Spider-Man in a very precarious position, if you ask me. I think his job just got a lot harder in this book, and I think that's what you got to do with Spider-Man. You got to pile on that responsibility and guilt. Really enjoyed this issue.
I'm really enjoying this event. I know that one thing that we, especially you, was really tooting the horn on was the fact that it took so long to get to this Kraven thing, because they've been teasing it since issue 1. And they constantly has kept giving you little snippets. I'm totally happy that I waited for this, and it's definitely worth the wait. It's a solid event as a whole so far.
Are you saying you're glad you've stuck with pulling Spider-Man and haven't hopped off yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm totally glad with that. I'm glad I waited for it. I'm glad I continued getting it, didn't jump off. Great storyline so far. This is a good issue. You said everything that I was wanting to say, so I don't even know what to say.
All right, how many Vision sex tapes are you giving this?
I'm going to give this one a 3.5 Vision sex tapes.
I'm going to meet this one with Black Widow. I'm going to give this one a 3.8 Vision sex tapes. Really enjoyed this issue. All right, moving on to Thanos number 1 by Teenie Howard, and the art is done by Ariel Olivetti. And Olivetti, I think, is a great artist, but unfortunately, talents in this book are not showcased the way Olivetti has had done in the past. So that's a little disheartening. But there are some really good looking pages in here, especially like the first splash page you get looks absolutely gorgeous. Josh and I were talking because he's the Thanos fan, and he's the one who actually put me onto Thanos Rising a few months ago. I read that, and it feels like this book actually ties in somewhere in the timeline of that book. Like, it seems like it's either taking from that story, or maybe you can insert this issue somewhere into that story. But it's okay. It's an okay read. It's not really what I was hoping for from Thanos number 1.
Yeah, it's definitely not. I love Thanos, so I'm going to be a little biased on this kind of stuff because it's hard for me to, hard to judge when it's dealing with your fandom. But this one just doesn't have the same impact that Thanos Rising did. When it first came out, that first issue definitely grabs you. I'm not saying that this is a bad run, a bad issue. I did enjoy it. I like reading about Thanos, especially when it's something that's an untapped story from his history. I really love that, and that's cool. But this issue just really, sadly, does not have the punch that you really want from an issue number 1.
Yeah, for me, when I read Thanos Rising, like, it added an entirely new layer to Thanos. Like, it made me look at Thanos in a different way, see him in a different way. See, a lot of the way that Infinity War does the same thing. Mm-hmm. It makes you see Thanos in a different way, and it characterizes him a little bit differently. This book, it characterizes him in a way that I feel is backtracking. I feel like we've gotten these really stellar versions of Thanos already, and this is kind of taking him back to a simpler, just murderous type of guy. And I understand it's supposed to be earlier on in his career.
I will say this. I think by the end of this run, that this is actually not going to be a layering for Thanos. It's going to be a layering for a new character, or for not a new character, but for a different character.
Yeah.
Because there is a new aspect that I find to be very intriguing that has never been really kind of hit on.
Right, and the other thing too that I want to say that I feel was mischaracterized is you do have other characters like Proxima Midnight and Ebony Maw in here. Ebony Maw does not feel like Ebony Maw, at least not from the Jonathan Hickman Infinity when he first created the character. It does not feel like that Ebony Maw.
Granted, this is obviously supposed to be a younger Ebony Maw because he has like a long hair and a ponytail. So this is obviously supposed to be probably like a younger, arrogant
but
Ebony Maw.
I will say, I mean, this is not a spoiler, but they do show him using a power in this, like some kind of orb out of his hand in one of the panels. As far as we knew when Infinity came out, Ebony Maw had 0 powers. Even when in the movie, when they give him the power of telekinesis, that's not from the comic books. So to do that in this book, I thought was just a kind of a gross mishandling of that character, because one of the things I thought was so great about Ebony Maw was that he didn't have any powers, is that he didn't know why he was so menacing. He just kind of was, because he was kind of a wordsmith. This book just was like, okay, you know what, we're going to make him have a power, and also kind of make him a sniveling little weasel. I didn't really like that. But anyways, this book is actually a story told from the perspective of another character that you get from the very beginning, and that's the person telling the story. And so maybe, we're getting unreliable narrator type thing happening, but all in all, this book just did not add a whole lot to who Thanos is for me, and that kind of bummed me out.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think this is really going to be digging into more Thanos as much as it's going to be digging into another character. Yeah. I think that's what's going to be.
Right here, if you're looking.
Okay, I am looking.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was looking for the part that he was talking about because I completely missed it.
Yeah.
Okay, that is weird. Okay.
But anyways, so sorry about that, guys. We are going to grade it now. I'm going to give Thanos number 1 a... I'm really stuck. If I'm just going to split the difference, 3.0 Vision sex tapes, I got to just leave it there. I mean, there was some good stuff in it, but nothing that was blowing my hair back. Yeah,
I'm going to give it a 3.2 Vision sex tapes, which, guys, I know that we sound bummed. It's just that we were really kind of hyped about this book, and it just... 3 is still a solid number.
It is, absolutely.
It's more than half.
Yes.
So.
All right, and last issue on the list today is The Avengers, number 18 by Jason Aaron and Ed McGuinness. This is actually where we get our grading system from Vision Sex Tapes, is this. If you guys remember all the way back in issue 10 or issue 700, the very end of that book actually hinted at Coulson and the Squadron Supreme. Well, this is the first time you're getting a look at the Squadron Supreme under Jason Aaron. Like I said before, he really likes teams. He likes to build teams up. If you look at this Avengers run, he's been doing nothing but building up teams for the Avengers to go. And the Squadron Supreme feels like what it was originally intended to be, which is a total riff on the JSA back in the day, to bring in them and kind of almost perverted, like a perversion of those characters and what they're supposed to do. So this is a small War of the Realms tie-in, but what it is mostly in disguise is just an introduction to these characters of the Squadron Supreme, where they're at now, what they're doing, who's behind some stuff. Really, really interesting read, though.
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun issue. It's kind of weird because it's kind of like dealing with War of the Realms, but it kind of feels like it's a nice little break from some of the other stuff. I am a little disappointed because we have waited a long time because it's been a little pushback for Avengers, and I do want to see more of what's going on with Avengers, especially after seeing how War of the Realms issue number 2 ends. But this was still a very fun issue. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I think it's probably one of the more, other than Amazing Spider-Man, it's probably one of the most enjoyable from Marvel.
Yeah, and what I like about it is it's very tongue-in-cheek. It feels very much like Jason Aaron kind of poking fun and satirizing the DC character archetypes. So I thought that was a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to seeing what comes out of this book. And anybody who's reading this, this feels like a Justice League ripoff. It's supposed to. When these first characters were realized, that's exactly what they were supposed to be. So don't think that they're just ripping off the Justice League just to do it. It's very intentional. But with this one, I'm going to give this one a 3.75 Vision Sex Tapes.
That's actually right where I'm at. 3.75 Vision Sex Tapes.
All right, guys. Well, that is all we've got for you today. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure to check out the DC episode on the channel. It should be up as well. If If you like this video, hit that like button. If you want to share it with your comic reading friends, feel free to share it. If you guys want to have a conversation with the comics in the comment section below, let's do that. And of course, guys, always subscribe to the channel. We are nipping at the heels of 1,000 subscribers. Help us get there by hitting that subscribe button. That way, every week you can get new early comic book reviews. We'll see you later. Take care.
Way to mess it up.
I bungled it.